November 6, 2017. Deep state nears war after Trump and Saudi Arabia make rapid moves against 9/11 coup plotters. An ominous new foreign intelligence service SVR reports circulating in the Kremlin today as the winds of war are blowing is warning that the American deep state is now in complete terror after National Security Agency NSA forces loyal to President Donald Trump, and Saudi Arabian forces loyal to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, have rapidly shifted from their rampage bloodbath destroying Hollywood and U.S. mainstream media leftist elites, to their now targeting the coup plotters behind the September 11, 2011 9/11 attacks and that Trump had vowed he was going to do when, on February 16, 2016, he said that if elected you will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center. It wasn't the Iraqis. You may find it's the Saudis. Note some words and/or phrases appearing in quotes in this report are English-language approximations of Russian words, phrases having no exact counterpart. According to this report, as a world-class builder of iconic skyscrapers across the globe, President Trump nearly immediately knew that the collapse of the World Trade Center buildings were caused by a controlled demolition implosion event, as no one of sane mind would ever believe that kerosene jet fuel could melt the massive concrete reinforced steel beams these types of buildings are constructed with, and that if possible, would now see tens of millions of residential kerosene heaters the world over having already been reduced into pools of melted metal. To what the true cause of the 9/11 attacks were about, this report continues, Trump knew and everyone else but the American people too was a violent sinister plot masterminded by the Bush crime family and the powerful bin Laden family and aided by the Clinton crime family in order to destroy the Middle East and Afghanistan in order to build pipelines to control the world's flow of natural gas and oil, and that the International Criminal Court has just put under a war crimes and crimes against humanity investigation. The 9/11 plot, this report explains, began in November 1998, when former President George H.W. Bush, on behalf of the multinational private financial company named the Carlyle Group, traveled to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, to meet with the bin Laden family, a meeting also attended by Singapore billionaire Leonard Glenn Francis, the owner of the international maritime company Glenn Marine Group. A final meeting between President Bush and the bin Laden family to formalize and activate the 9/11 plot, this report continues, was held, again in Jeddah, in January 2000, where a practice dry run was approved, but with certain parties only agreeing to this vile attack if George W. Bush was elected U.S. President, which he was later that year when the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Florida to stop counting votes, thus handing Bush his victory. Upon George W. Bush becoming president in January 2000, this report further details, the 9/11 plot accelerated with these murderous actors choosing their bought and paid for U.S. naval intelligence assets to coordinate the attacks on the World Trade Centers and the U.S. Capitol building, and that Leonard Glenn Francis had so thoroughly corrupted, nearly every U.S. Navy admiral was under his control. These U.S. naval intelligence assets, in fearing that their Pentagon control center for the 9/11 attacks could possibly come under counterattack, this report explains, ordered it to be massively reinforced, including its being fitted with blast-resistant windows 2 inches thick and weighing 2,500 pounds each, and whose work was completed in the early morning hours of September 11, 2001. So sure were these 9/11 plotters of success, this report notes, at 9:00 a.m., on September 11, 2001, President George H.W. Bush, the entire Carlyle Group, and the bin Laden family, gathered together at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Washington, D.C. to celebrate what to them would be a victory, but to the rest of the world was one of the most horrific crimes against humanity ever committed, but whose vile plans were thwarted when a mysterious Aurora aircraft took off from the equally mysterious Area 51 region of Nevada, flew at Mach 6 times the speed of sound towards Pennsylvania, where it obliterated the plane intended to strike the U.S. Capitol building, with it then streaking to the Pentagon, where it fired a powerful cruise missile, completely destroying the two secured to counterattack Office of Naval Intelligence Control Center, instantly killing numerous U.S. naval intelligence officers, after which the 9/11 attacks immediately ended. In the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, this report continues, President George W. Bush quickly spirited out of America all of the bin Laden family members attending what they believed would be their victory celebration at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, in Washington, D.C., by having them flown to Texas, from where they then left the U.S. back to Saudi Arabia, and his audaciously stating afterwards, "My dad was meeting with the brother of Osama on September 11, 2001, does that make him a terror suspect?" But whose dad, former President George H.W. Bush, nevertheless, cut all ties between his Carlyle Group and the bin Laden family 6 weeks later, on October 26, 2001, and with the supposed mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, the former CIA operative Osama bin Laden, becoming no more than afterthought. Also in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, this report notes, U.S. Marine General John Kelly formed an alliance with who is considered to be the most effective U.S. military intelligence official in modern times, U.S. Army General Michael Flynn, with both of them painstakingly rebuilding the entire U.S. Naval Intelligence Organization in their attempt to uncover the true facts of this monstrous crime against America and its people. In a classic follow-the-money intelligence operation, this report details, Generals Kelly and Flynn began to uncover the massive corruption that had led the U.S. Navy to becoming part of the 9/11 plot in the first place, but who were fiercely being fought by both the Bush and Obama regimes every step of the way, so much so that they then had to turn away from the U.S. military and get aid from loyal to their cause FBI forces, all of whom were based in California, not Washington, D.C. Being aided by these FBI forces in California, this report continues, Generals Kelly and Flynn, who were supported by loyal U.S. military intelligence officials too, were able to secure a guilty plea from a lower-level 9/11 coup plotter, an U.S. naval intelligence officer, named John Beliveau, on December 17, 2013, but with Beliveau being kept hidden from the Obama regime for nearly 3 years. Until October 14, 2016, when he was brought into a U.S. federal court and sentenced for his crimes. From the seat of U.S. Naval Intelligence Officer John Beliveau, this report continues, Generals Kelly and Flynn were able to begin growing the tree to destroy this vile nest of 9/11 attack accomplices, now called the Fat Leonard scandal, and that greatly accelerated under the leadership of President Trump, with his ordering, this past June, the first charges to be filed against these monsters under U.S. military law, and who just hours ago, too, began targeting over 440 U.S. Navy officials, including 60 of America's 221 Navy admirals. At the exact same time that President Trump is moving against these U.S. naval intelligence 9/11 plotters, this report says, so too are Saudi Arabian forces loyal to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who over the past 48 hours, have arrested nearly every one of their citizens who attended the victory celebration with the Bush crime family at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, in Washington, D.C., on September 11, 2001, to include Osama bin Laden's brothers Bakr bin Laden and Shafik bin Laden, but the exceptions being Saudi Prince Mansur bin Mukran and other top Saudi officials who were killed when their helicopter was shot down while they attempted to flee the country, and Prince Abdulaziz bin Fahd, who died in a firefight with forces trying to arrest him. With the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, yesterday, having reported that President Trump had timed with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman this attack against these 9/11 plotters to coincide with his being in Asia, and under the protection of loyal forces to keep him from being assassinated, this report concludes, deep state forces have, nevertheless, counterattacked by pushing the world to the brink of war by having their Iranian Obama regime allies begin firing missiles into Saudi Arabia, but that has not stopped the Saudis' massive roundup of these monsters whose numbers may soon reach into the hundreds, if not thousands.